Uh, Welcome to Caribbean Thought. Welcome to Caribbean Thought. There is a lot that we have to contend with in Caribbean Thought class today. First, can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Great, great, great. There's a lot that we need to contend with in this week's class. Just so you know that I did not finish with last week's class. Uh, I didn't finish with last week's class in terms of making it available. The last 50 minutes of the class is available, but which I published calling it Caribbean Extended. The class towards the last hour of the class, and the class was about over 3 hours long, but towards and you guys were free to leave whenever you want to, but we still continued because we recorded it and it's available. The discussions were deep. We talked about Turks and Caicos and what's going on in Turks and Caicos. Umberto raised a very important point. Um, and it is a point that I have raised in an article that is published in the Neoliberal journals and in the Jamaica Gleaner, talking about, and the article I am referencing, let me bring up if I can find the article. I just went on it just now. There's lots happening. There's so much happening. One of the things that I've done previously in this class is to have students comment on current issues, what's about in terms of what's going on in the world. And we've been doing that in this class. This class have been ripe with it, and I really am grateful for how vocal so many of you have been, which is what we are hoping for. Very good, but we want it to be we want you to critically analyze these issues and to draw your own conclusions, not from an history, an experience that is bound up in a history that is written for many of us. So then you have to write your own history by doing your own research, by developing a critical eye. And of course, we talked about the Afrocentric paradigm deliberately and intentionally, so that you can begin to think in epistemological ways, in metaphysical ways, in axiological ways, in ways that pays homage to you as individuals, to your identity, to your history, because anthropologically, or before anthropology was developed, way back in the early 1900s and way to the late 1800s, when we had sociology, the sociology and the anthropology that we have was an anthropology that still believed that black people or African people were monkeys, or closely associated with monkeys and stupid and so on and so forth. And many of that still exists in many of the writings today, and that is what many people want to go back to. But last week was very important, a very, very powerful class, and I really want to say I want to hail up Idris, Chantal, Umberta, and many other persons participated in the class, but especially toward the last minute. I just want to hail you guys up. But I wrote an article entitled "Reforming Birthright Citizenship: Protecting Against Misuse Without Breaking History." And in that article, I said immigration reform continues to be a polarizing issue, and the debate surrounding birthright citizenship is no exception. There are individuals who exploit the 14th Amendment, coming to the United States with the sole intention of giving birth so their children can claim U.S. citizenship. Let me stop there. Let me say that again. Immigration reform continues to be a polarizing issue, and the debate surrounding birthright citizenship is no exception. And there are individuals who exploit the 14th Amendment, coming to the U.S. with the sole intention of giving birth so their children can claim U.S. citizenship. That is not hearsay. Just so you know, it is a fact. Other people may not be able to prove it, but but we can. While this practice is not a conspiracy, it is a documented reality that has far reaching implications, including placing unnecessary strain on the foster care system when some of these parents leave, abandoning their US born children. Our Caribbean thought is deep enough. The connections between the global north and the global south and the Caribbean runs deep, and it still runs. You cannot do Caribbean thought without contending for what's happening in society today and what's happening right now. That is what puts you guys at an advantage at Jamaica Theological Seminary doing this course. Okay? I am telling you that they're not doing this, they're not talking like this at University of the West Indies or at other universities around the world. This is important because the next thing I'm about to do is going to require